Hello and welcome back to Zerg Week, or PvZ Week I should say. And I think this will conclude PvZ Week because I'm having trouble finding decent games that I really care to show you. I feel like the last game was pretty good, and this one will be a good finisher. So we are not looking at my game right now, we're looking at LiquidTyler, the man, the myth, the legend, against EGStrifeCro, who is a pretty solid Zerg. And I remember watching this game on the ladder, and it was on Tyler's stream, and it was really epic and amazing. So we're just gonna go through it and enjoy the awesomeness. For those of you who don't know, the Blink Stalker High Templar type of stuff that I've been doing and showing off on my lovely channel is pretty much copied from what LiquidTyler does. And it's really spectacular, so we're going to try and see what he does so we can emulate it. Interestingly, Tyler is not forge expanding on Shakuras Plateau. I wish I could say that that's because he wants to tech faster, because you don't go forge before gateway, so your tech is a little quicker. And Zerg has to respect a little bit more pressure from you. You can't really take such a fast third as when you're forge expanding. That's sort of my own theory. But I personally still forge expand on Shakuras every game. I wish I could pick Tyler's brain about that, about why he wants to do a different expand. Meanwhile, he will not prevent the hatch from going down, unfortunately. Now we do see a gasless expand from StrifeCro, and Tyler will see that. Ideally, you can actually do a 2-stalker kind of pressure build, and slow lings can just get kited to death, and you can pick off drones and force a lot more lings, maybe even a spine crawler. It's a really nice pressure, but we're not going to see that. Instead, we're going to see pretty standard stuff from Tyler. Tyler, of course, in Brood War was Noni. Very, very talented Protoss player whenever he decides to actually train. Lately in Starcraft 2, he hasn't really been training very hard, so he hasn't been performing too well in tournaments. But I think it's obvious that his builds have such precision and his mechanics are so good that if he ever decides to actually practice and train hard, he's going to be a real force to be reckoned with. So StrifeCro, pretty much just not doing too much that's interesting, so we're going to stop talking about it. Tyler throwing down 2 gates. This is a 3-gate expand. Again, not really like standard on this map, but it's a decent standard build overall, just in general. Pretty strong against roach timings, but actually on this map, I guess it's not, because you can just force field this ramp very easily and keep the roaches out. So, I guess that might be what he's thinking, I'm not sure. And the Nexus will go down at about, 535. Not bad. There it is. And StrifeCro cannot take a fast third because this is indeed not a forge expand. And theoretically, that's maybe favorable to Protoss. I don't know. I wish I could illuminate that for you, but I don't see why you wouldn't forge expand. Now we're seeing a Twilight after 3 gates. Very fast after 3 gates. He's only on 4 sentries. So, we also see no cannon at all. And, Tyler himself has remarked that his build might be weak to roach timings. Like a big roach ling timing pretty soon. Force field would be good, but he doesn't have that many sentries, and he won't because he's going to spend his gas on something else. What is it going to be? It's the Templar Archives. So, contrary to the way I do the build, Tyler rushes for the Templar Archives before he starts Blink, before he even gets a Forge to start those upgrades. And he is just getting Storm as quickly as he possibly can, which is really interesting to me. And now we see StrifeCro taking his third. He sees not a whole lot of units. Very safe base to take. And there's the Templar Archives. And then he will start Storm pretty quickly, but he will actually warp in the Templar first. This is so that they can accumulate energy later in the game and be more useful. And now the Forge. Notice we're spending a ton of gas right now, and we're going to have a mineral pileup because of how we're spending our money. The Templar Archives cost gas, the Twilight Council cost gas, Sentries cost gas, and Templar cost gas. So, you know, we're not going to have a lot of units early on unless we make a bunch of Zealots, and those typically aren't too good. At least, you know, against most things like roaches. So we're going to spend our minerals on the Forge. And, well, I guess that's about it. Of course, we're going to throw down a lot more gateways very shortly. So Tyler is just making these Templar. He's not warping in Stalkers, which is, or Zealots, excuse me, which is what I was doing in my build. I would, of course, have to defer to Tyler's wisdom on this point. He's just making Stalkers and High Templar. Let's quickly glance over at StrifeCro land. He has 66 drones and 14 lings. That's it. So he is actually at amazing drone saturation and has a roaring economy. He is in pretty much the best possible spot right now, I would say. And now here are the gates going down. Interesting contaminate, but doesn't really do much. The timing isn't going to hit yet. And I actually like the way Tyler sets his timing up. He's going for a +1 attack Blinkstalker Psystorm timing, compared to my little bit later +2 attack timing, but I've a few more units when I move out. Not a lot, though. I mean, Tyler has just really optimized this, and I will probably steal it from him. So we look at what Zerg's doing. Zerg has 70 drones. He can basically just mass units at this point. He is getting Burrow. He is getting the upgrades for roaches. He's getting the Infestation Pit. You know, pretty good. And Tyler is moving down to take his third base. You always want to take this third base that's close to you as Protoss. You can wall off these little choke points pretty easily. And now Tyler's going to move out. Notice, StrifeCro had maximum drones about 2 minutes ago in game time. He has 22 roaches, 22 lings, and he's just making units at this point. And let's see what happens. Force field goes off. Gonna storm. More great force field, more storms. And then he's just gonna blink in, storm again on the roaches. Wow. And that army got crushed. Holy crap. The third base is down. Tyler is gonna kill off this base. Nice drone burrow. And this is just an amazing timing. Zerg hasn't really gotten the time to max out with roaches off of his economy yet. And yeah, he just has to burrow and save his army. He does have a fourth base, of course, and that's pretty good. And now the reinforcements are coming in. This does look pretty bad for Tyler. Big surround, and he's just going to blink and run away. Losing, you know, some units here, of course, but not really game losing. Meanwhile, he is getting the Robo after the third base, as we've demonstrated in other games. He is +2 is almost done. So StrifeCro still has almost 70 drones. He can keep making units pretty much, and he's going to be able to apply a lot of pressure in this situation. He still has 3 bases, and Protoss's third just is getting up. So right now, the correct decision is to just be passive here. He killed off a base, he has his own third up. It's 3 base versus 3 base in terms of mining economy. And, yeah, he just did a lot of damage. Now, one might look at the supply difference and say, whoa, StrifeCro's way ahead. What are you talking about? And the real answer is that roaches are disproportionate with their supply to their effectiveness. They're very supply inefficient. And most of this army is roaches. So now, we have a lot of Blink Stalkers and a couple of Psy Storms. There are about 3 Psy Storms. StrifeCro does have to make Infestors if he wants to respect Blink. He wants to be able to knock out Blink. You know, prevent the Stalkers from blinking using that fungal growth. And now he's going to attack with a huge concave, a big arc. And nice micro against the Storms. And Tyler has to use the Blink micro. He's out of Storm. StrifeCro running in, doing a huge amount of damage. Wow, and another huge Storm. Look at all the health on those roaches. Wow. And the roaches really want to do this. In this particularly in this little choke point, they just can't separate. And the Storm weakens the roaches enough that we've just got Blink Stalkers. And yeah, we have an Observer now. It's going to come in. We'll be able to take out all these roaches after they're done healing. And Tyler's just going to blink the Stalkers back. And yeah, Blink Stalkers are really efficient units. The roaches have to pretty much run away. Again, we just see StrifeCro making roaches. He has a great economy. But his economy is now equal to Tyler's. Tyler is on 3 base. And you can't saturate more than 3 bases unless you have like over 100 drones, and your army will be tiny. Some Zergs still do that, but I mean, I'm just saying that's not really optimal, I think. Some more gates. Tyler's trying to take a 4th here. It's going to be difficult. And once again, we're just going to be playing pretty passively. StrifeCro is taking a 5th base. A lot of lings, a lot of roaches. I mean, from a Zerg's point of view, this is kind of logical. Roaches are pretty resilient against Psystorm. I mean, they can burrow. Oh, he's going to get the Templar. No, he didn't get it. Wow, 3 HP. Yeah, roaches are pretty resilient against Psystorm. They can burrow and heal. They have a lot of health. They're armored. And Zerglings are pretty good against Blink Stalkers. And Infestors are very good against Blink Stalkers. So, you know, he kind of figures is if he can just sort of tank the Psystorm with his roaches and then shut down the Stalkers with the fungal growth, the lings and roaches will be enough to win in the game. We're actually just going to see that that's not true. This is really annoying by StrifeCro. Very, very annoying. Now, personally, I really like making Immortals out of this Robo, but Tyler will actually just not do that, and he'll be fine. But, I mean, when you see this many roaches, I think that just makes sense. And now we see not a whole lot. Tyler kind of posturing, and now he's going to move up. Leading with that Observer, so he knows where the army is. You can see some of the roaches. Oh, very nice fungal. StrifeCro actually trying to kill that Observer with fungal growth. Not totally successful yet. And, you know, again, StrifeCro has all the drones he needs. He had 70 drones while Tyler was still on 2 base. And at this point, you know, StrifeCro's maxed. He wants to engage Protoss so that he can remax. But the question is, will it work? And here comes no engagement. And this is really why this supply is deceptive. This is not that many roaches. This is 40 roaches against 51 stalkers. They could actually engage straight up without even blink, and the stalkers would just win. Oh, and sniping a few templar out of position, pretty bad. You don't want that to happen usually. So Tyler has only a few templar left. Not sure where they are. They're back home, gathering energy, preparing for the fight that is to come. And without the Templar, Tyler really definitely has to pull back. But now he has them, and he's going to move forward again. When you're playing the Robo-style Protoss, and you're relying on sentries and stalkers and Colossus, if you lose those sentries, you have to replenish them, because fighting without sentries will lose you the game, and you cannot really... Oh, okay, well, let's put that on hold, because huge storms going down on all the roaches. This is what happens when Zerg tries to engage. Now we have a Robo. Burrow healing will not really help. Zerg has to make use of these fungals. And there are just way too many stalkers. Look at the giant concave. Wow, wow, wow. And we're just going to snipe off all those infestors and win. But what is StrifeCro doing? He is making 86 Zerglings. And this is really, really smart. You want to replenish with those Zerglings, because once all the Psystorm is spent, then the Zerglings become super effective. And now StrifeCro is making 7 Ultralisks. Again, pretty smart. Just against this straight-up army right here, Ultras, you know, are great against Stalkers, and Templar or Storm don't really do much to them. Now, as I was saying, if you're playing with Colossus and you lose all your sentries, you're gonna want to replenish them, because you can't fight against Roach Hydra armies without force fields, really. They'll get in too close and do too much damage. In this case, if we lose our Templar, we have to replenish them, because otherwise we get ripped apart by 86 Speedlings. And some cute moves with the Infestor. StrifeCro's just buying time for the Ultras. And Tyler is... trying to do some damage here. He did kill one base. Oh, there's the Ultras. Watch out. Run away, Tyler. He's going to blink out. Nice target firing on the Ultras, but Ultras just do a ton of damage against Stalkers. Wow. And this Templar will get eaten. So suddenly, from a huge lead, Tyler just has to retreat. And now the game is basically even again. Of course, Zerg is down to 48 drones because of this base that he lost. So, Tyler, the longer this game goes, the better the situation for him. He has a superior economy to Zerg. He has an army that Zerg has to respect, and it's very hard in this stage of the game for Zerg to make drones. He's going to, try, of course, but Protoss can just keep threatening with this army. And to be honest, I think making these Ultras, while they did save him from dying here in this attack, I feel like this decision is basically losing him the game, because this is so much money put into these Ultras. He was maxed and gathered up like 4K minerals and 4K gas, and then he's spending it all on Ultras, which are really only effective at a very short period of time. Right when they pop out and all the Blink Stalkers are in your base, that's when the Ultras are effective. The longer the game goes, the less effective the Ultras are going to be. They're just not good units unless they're like a surprise unit, to be honest. Zealots and Archons are just too good against them. Even Immortals, which I think Tyler ought to have by now, in my opinion. And now Tyler's going to run up, try and feed back all the Infestors. Oh, good fungal. And yeah, the Zealots are just really good against Ultralisks. Immortalisks. Tyler's taking another base. Notice how slowly Tyler is expanding. You don't really have to expand that quickly. He's staying on a 3-base economy. This is just about to mine out. This base is no longer mining. So he's just staying 3-base. He's actually expanding at the exact proper times. Boom, he's up at a 3-base economy. He didn't need this base any earlier than he has it right now. And this warp prism is going to do some hijinks. We'll keep an eye on that. Zerg has a base down here, which is pretty smart, I think. I'm not sure why these infestors are actually burrowed. A little odd. And now Tyler's going to run up. Oh, great feedbacks on all the infestors. Wow. And yeah, zealots are very good against zerglings. Not really news to anybody. He's going to run in here. The ultras are going to run in, and we're going to see why ultras kind of suck. Oh, actually, great fungal growth. If you fungal the zealots, ultras actually outrange the zealots, and that's really, really great. The zealots can't hit them, but yeah, there's just not enough there, and the the ultras just kind of die because that's what they're good at. So finally, Tyler is at 170 supply to StrifeCro's 90. He's going to go kill some bases. And we do see some zealots being warped in at the top. GG. So, really impressive game from Tyler, obviously. We saw that pretty nice optimized Templar rush. He pushed out at about the 12-minute mark with Blink Stalkers, High Templar with Storm, and +1 attack, and then he expanded. He ripped through that Roach army, took out a base, and stayed maybe a little too long, had to blink away and lose some Stalkers. And then all he had to do was defend, basically, and stay on 3-base. And the Templar and the Stalkers are just so versatile and effective against virtually everything. He was really good against StrifeCro's army up until the giant Ultralisks spawn right here. But that really was only a temporary defense because Ultras are just terrible. And once Tyler made a bunch of Zealots, that was pretty much it. And StrifeCro had to spend all the money he had banked while maxed on Ultras, which are, I don't know. In my opinion, that probably lost him the game, just making those Ultras. But now Tyler did not make Immortals. I think that having a couple Immortals with his army would have been very, very good against the pure Roach and eventually Ultra combination that StrifeCro had. And we didn't really see StrifeCro harassing that much anywhere. He just kept trying to engage directly with Tyler's army, and that's usually not a good idea against Protoss. So that is my analysis slash cast of this game, and that's going to wrap up Protoss versus Zerg week. Hope you enjoyed. Next up, I think I'm going to be going back to PvP. I didn't do enough games of that, and I've been practicing and playing actually a ton of PvP with some training partners, and I really feel like I've had sort of an epiphany in the matchup. So we're going to go back and do like a second PvP week, I guess. So definitely stay tuned for that. Guarantee you will learn something very cool from those games, and PvP will no longer be a coin flip slash 4-gate slash War of the Worlds. That is gone and dead. You don't have to worry about that anymore. And if you're intrigued by that statement, please come back and join me for my next video. So long.